Today, Maman died. Or maybe yesterday, I'm not sure. The telegram from the home said, "Mother deceased. Funeral tomorrow. Regards." Nothing more. Perhaps it was yesterday. I don't feel particularly sad, just strangely detached, as if it all has nothing to do with me. Marengo is 80 kilometers from Algiers. I'll take the 2 o'clock bus, arrive by afternoon for the vigil, and return tomorrow evening. I asked my boss for 2 days off. He wasn't pleased, but couldn't refuse. I said, "It's not my fault," and he kept silent. I feel no guilt. After the funeral, seeing me in mourning, he'll offer condolences anyway. It's not my fault. I recall what I told the boss. Before leaving, I eat at the usual cafe. They know about Maman's death and offer awkward sympathy. They escort me to the door. Everyone has only one mother, the cafe owner says to me. Later, I recall I forgot to borrow a black tie and armband. I'll have to manage without them. I run to catch the bus, feeling dizzy. On the bus, I drift in and out of sleep. The bus is sweltering. Half asleep, I find myself leaning on a soldier. He smiles and asks if I'm from far away. I barely respond, saying only yes. I'm focused on reaching the home and seeing Maman. The home is 2 kilometers from the village. After walking, the gatekeeper says, "You must see the director first. He's busy. Please wait." I wait, chatting idly. Maman still feels alive to me. Only after the funeral will this become solemn and real. The director says Maman was admitted 3 years ago, that I was her only financial support. He tells me I needn't feel guilty. She required care and was happier here. I'm too young, he says, and she preferred company her own age. I don't argue. I just say, "Yes, Monsieur Director." The director assumes I'll want to see Maman. He explains she's moved to the small mortuary so as not to upset others. When someone dies, the residents grow anxious for days. We cross the courtyard, the old folks hush. He says the funeral is at 10 in the morning and that Maman wanted a religious service. Everything's arranged. I thank him. Maman was never religious, but it hardly matters now. The caretaker rushes in, offering to unscrew the coffin lid so I can see Maman. She's covered. I can unscrew the lid so you can see. Don't you want to look? I refuse. He asks, "Why?" And I say, "I don't know." He understands, gives me a chair. The nurse leaves. He mentions Maman had an ulcer. I'm not interested in details. I stare at the coffin, feeling hollow. Evening falls. The caretaker says, "Your mother's friends will join the vigil. It's customary. You must fetch some chairs and black coffee." The light is harsh. I ask to turn off one lamp, but he says no. The lights are either all on or all off. I hesitate but light a cigarette, offering him one too. He mentions Man had an ulcer. At the far end, The nurse does something quietly. I can't see what. Late at night, Maman's elderly friends arrive and sit silently. One old woman weeps endlessly. The others pretend not to hear, staring at the coffin or their canes. I don't know her, and I lack the courage to ask her to stop. The caretaker explains she was Maman's only friend, now utterly alone. I feel awkward, but cannot console her. The night is long, the light glaring. I doze, wake with an aching back. At dawn, an old man coughs violently, and they prepare to depart. Each shakes my hand as if this silent vigil forged a strange intimacy. I'm utterly exhausted. In the morning courtyard, I wait. The caretaker summons me. The director wants me to sign some papers. The director, in black attire, says the undertakers have arrived and sealed the coffin. He asks if I want one last look. I say no. Then, he says only he, a nurse, will attend the burial. It's customary not to involve the residents. However, old Thomas Perez insisted on following the hearse. The director understands. It's a childish sentiment. I nod. The procession sets out under a burning sun, suffocating heat. I wear dark clothes, sweating profusely. Perez limps behind, losing grind, trying shortcuts through fields. The funeral worker chats with me, calling the weather awful. I agree vaguely. He asks if that's my mother. I say yes. Was she old? I say fairly, though I don't recall precisely. The glare, the stench of tar and leather, the fatigue of a sleepless night, all overwhelm me. I want it over quickly. The funeral ends, the sunlight even more intense. Returning to Algiers leaves me utterly spent. Once home, I just want to collapse into bed and sleep for 12 hours. Upon waking, I realize why my boss seemed displeased. It's Saturday. He probably thought I meant to take 4 days off, including the weekend. But the funeral was yesterday. Not my fault. I still have the weekend to rest. I understand his feelings, but there's nothing I can do. I decide to swim at the public beach by the harbor. There are many young people in the water. Unexpectedly, I encountered Marie Cardona, who was once a typist in my office. I liked her, and she didn't mind me. She smiles, we swim together. I help her onto a lifebuoy and brush her chest inadvertently. I'm more tanned than you are, said Marie. We lie quietly, basking in the sun, feeling each other's presence. After drying off, I ask if she'd like to see a movie tonight. She says she wants to see a Fernando film. Noticing my black tie, she asks, "Are you in mourning?" I say, "My mother died yesterday." She's startled, but says nothing more. In the evening, we watch the film. Some parts are absurdly funny. Marie laughs, resting her leg on mine. I gently brush her breast. After the show, she goes straight to my place. Everything feels natural, without much being said. Marie left early in the morning. It's Sunday, a day I dislike, I wake late, do nothing. I fry some eggs and eat them without bread, unwilling to go out. I stand on the balcony, watching families strolling, young men hurrying to catch trams to the city center cinemas, the slow fading of afternoon into evening. I smoke, eat chocolate, observe the shifting weather. Later, crowds return, shouting from trams, then disperse. Street lamps flicker on. I buy bread and pasta, eat standing up. By nightfall, the street is quiet again, as if nothing ever changes. Man is buried. I'll return to work tomorrow, and the world remains the same. I see my reflection in the window's glass, and the leftover bread on the table. Everything returns to its routine. Maman's funeral is over. I'll resume my job. Life remains unchanged. Sunday passes, and I realize neither I nor the world has shifted in any real sense.